Hello and welcome to a special streaming edition of Atlanta News First Plus at 2 p.m. We have a lot of weather to talk about. The entire First Alert weather team continues to work around the clock as an approaching winter storm, now less than 15 hours away from its impact across North Georgia and Metro Atlanta. There haven't been any huge changes in the overall big picture, kind of 10,000-foot view of things across North Georgia. However, there have been some subtle changes which could mean less in the way of snow for some and more in the way of freezing rain and sleet. Just as hazardous of travel, just as miserable of a condition, but unfortunately not with the prettiness and the fun that tends to come with snow. So a lot to talk about here. I want to remind you we are streaming across many platforms right now. I am First Alert Meteorologist Cutter Martin here. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, not only can you reach out at any time, even outside of streaming on Atlanta News First Plus, at any time you can stream to us or ask us questions, should say, on social media, Threads, X, Twitter, Instagram, so many places, again, at any time, even when we're not streaming on Atlanta News First Plus. It's an open conversation. The entire First Alert weather team is working to keep you updated, informed, even as there are some subtle changes in the forecast and expected impacts. But the big story right now is this impending winter storm. Again, First Alert weather days, snow and ice begins Friday morning. We're going to go ahead and start with the big picture. Again, reminding everybody that it is not just Metro Atlanta, not just North Georgia, that's going to be experiencing inclement weather. We have widespread, snowy, icy, gross, very cold conditions across much of the Mid-South, Southern Plains into the Southeast as well, and now the East Coast. Again, you can see millions are under some sort of winter weather watch, warning, or advisory, and we will only continue to see more and more people put under similar alerts. Right now, we are waiting to hear from the National Weather Service office in Peachtree City. Time now is 2:06. I think by maybe 3:06, 3:30, we probably will have new warnings issued and perhaps an advisory instead of a warning in some of these communities. Again, we are talking with the National Weather Service office literally as we stream to give you the latest information, and they are working on kind of fine-tuning the forecast, and once fine-tuned, they're going to adjust some of these watches, warnings, advisories. We're going to zoom down in here to North Georgia. Notice that kind of seafoam green sort of color. That's actually a winter storm watch that was issued yesterday and has been in effect or will go into effect tomorrow morning, 7 a.m., remain in effect until Saturday morning, 7 a.m. This is for the vast majority of North Georgia, though does not include Troup County, does not include Meriwether County, does not include Lamar County, does not include Forsyth County, getting closer to Macon, does not include Upson County, but the vast majority of North Georgia is included in this winter storm watch, and some of these areas will be upgraded to a winter storm warning. Again, you can see our neighbors to the north, neighbors to the west are already under that pink shading. That's a winter storm warning, and some of us here in North Georgia will be upgraded from a winter storm watch to a winter storm warning as confidence with the National Weather Service has increased that impactful, if not dangerous, winter weather conditions will develop across North Georgia and Metro Atlanta. Now, others, especially south of the city of Atlanta, likely to be placed under a winter weather advisory. That is what you see for Randolph County in Alabama, that they have that winter weather advisory in effect starting early Friday morning and going until 3 p.m. in the afternoon. Keep in mind, we're going to see a variety of conditions across North Georgia and Metro Atlanta, and your exact precipitation type, whether it be snow, sleet, freezing rain, that'll depend on two factors: what time of day Friday and where exactly you are. We could be dealing with snow, sleet, freezing rain, all of those, wintry weather precipitation types within the span of only like 20 miles. Really complicated setup, especially along the I-20 corridor, including the heart of the city of Atlanta. So right now we only have two counties under a winter storm warning. That is Cleburne County in Alabama, and again, I'm speaking kind of Atlanta News First viewing area centric here. Winter storm warning in effect until 6 a.m. Central Standard Time for Cleburne County in Alabama. Also far northern Atlanta News First viewing area, Clay County, North Carolina, under a winter storm warning until 7 a.m. Eastern Time Saturday morning. So again, about the same time those two counties, the winter storm warning will expire for those two counties. The rest of us still under that winter storm watch. But here within the next, I would say, hour to hour and a half, we're going to get an update from the National Weather Service, and they will be adjusting this watch, upgrading a portion of it to a winter storm warning. Get a little bit more serious of a condition there, and then others under a winter weather advisory. Still some hazardous travel, but again, no longer winter storm watch by that point. Winter weather advisory, I would say, at the very least. Let's walk you through the hour-by-hour forecast, but to do so, let's begin with what's happening right now. Again, this winter storm is impacting millions. Already major metropolitan areas dealing with heavy rain, snow, heavy snow, freezing rain and sleet. Dallas, it's been a mess this morning, already inches of snow on the ground. Oklahoma City also dealing with snow and hazardous travel. I-40 headed to Little Rock, snow is moving in. Even northern Louisiana, now building into Mississippi, we have snow building in, and it is this plume of moisture that's going to build across Mississippi and Alabama and eventually build its way into North Georgia as we get into early Friday morning. It's possible, especially if you live West Metro, Cleveland, Randolph counties in Alabama, the winter weather, likely at least beginning as snow, could start as early as 6 a.m. before sunrise. Before you're really getting up and out the door, already there will be some hazardous travel developing across North Georgia and Metro Atlanta. Still, though, we are ways away from snow's arrival in the city. If you've been outside at all today, you know it is very cold. We were in the upper teens and lower 20s this morning, but it is still a gorgeous day. We have lots of sunshine out and about right now. Again, it's pretty. It's just cold, much like it was yesterday. The edge of that kind of band of snow is still, many, many miles away. In fact, I can get that mileage to actually pop up here. If you bear with me for just 1 second, we'll get that to pop back up. So redrawing this, again, getting an estimate as to how far away the first few flakes are, nearly 400 miles away from the city of Atlanta. So we still have many hours of sunshine. Then the clouds move in this evening and overnight tonight, and then the wintry weather begins early Friday morning. On YouTube, DJ, hello to you, throwing a wave. Again, thank you for tuning in and for streaming, for watching. Want to remind folks, if you're watching on Roku, Amazon Fire, any platform like that, if you have any weather questions, comments, concerns, this is not like a traditional broadcast where you're just yelling at the TV. You can actually ask those questions, and the First Alert Weather Team, we can do our best to give you those answers as precise and as accurate as possible. Two places where we can chat. One is on YouTube, like DJ is commenting right now. Also, Kevin, hello to you. Thanks for tuning in. That is one option. Atlanta News First. That's the account that we are streaming on right now. All you have to do is go to Atlanta News First on YouTube. Look at that in the search bar. Our little avatar on YouTube will be kind of glowing, and you'll know that we're live. Another place where you can ask your weather questions is 470-777-WANF. 470-777-WANF. That is 9263. You can literally text a question. We actually did this yesterday evening, and we were able to give specific answers texted back to your phone number. Or you can just text weather to that number. So text weather, WEATHER, to 470-777-WANF. You'll be linked to the latest forecast. You will also be linked to our latest list of school and business closures. And you will also be linked to a variety of resources, again, a one-stop shop here, where you can get your questions answered. And even if you don't feel like asking a question, you just want all the information in your fingertips, again, that is all available right there. Just text weather to 470-777-WANF. Last four digits of that number would be 9263. So putting radar in motion, and again, we're going to kind of clear the screen here for you, zoom down in a little bit closer to home, just letting you know it is dry, it is sunny, it is just plain old cold. Part of the reason, though, why we're having an interesting setup here is that a lot of times when we have winter weather in North Georgia, it's kind of warm, or at least mild, 50s, 60s, even a day or two before. But here with this setup, we've had such a cold stretch of weather the past 3, 4, 5 days. Road temperatures continue to fall. And with lows like this morning in the teens and lower 20s, road temperatures, even in the afternoons, they recover, they warm up a little bit. That pavement soaks up the solar rays and warms up just a little bit. However, it's still colder than typical. We're coming out of a cold stretch here, and the fact that we're beginning this winter weather event early in the morning with temperatures at or below freezing just about everywhere, things will get slick very quickly, maybe more quickly than what you're used to in a typical North Georgia weather event. So hour-by-hour forecast. Let's walk you through the rest of the evening. Want to let you know if you have any activities, errands, things you need to get done before the weather gets nasty and before you need to be off the roads tomorrow morning. This is our latest hour-by-hour forecast. And again, this evening we're okay. We're just plain old cold. We're dry. No significant issues. Now, as we get to 9, 10 o'clock this evening, temperatures back below freezing. In fact, Blairsville, 21. Atlanta, that's Hartsfield-Jackson, 31. 28 LaGrange. That's 10 o'clock this evening. 11 midnight. Everyone is in the 20s. Clouds are starting to move in by that point, but we're still dry. So if you need to wrap the pipes, hopefully you have already done so because we've had so many hard freezes. And if you haven't wrapped your pipes and you haven't had an issue yet, you probably won't have an issue. But just in case, because we have many more cold days, even in the first alert 7-day forecast, even after this system, get those outdoor exposed pipes wrapped, protected, because the last thing you want is to have a busted pipe with such cold weather and winter conditions when it may take people longer to get out to your home to get to everything fixed. Okay, so first alert weather day, Friday. Notice as early as 5 a.m., we have snow starting to fall in LaGrange, Troup County, Cleburne, Randolph counties in Alabama. So west side, southwest side, down the 85 corridor, LaGrange headed towards Montgomery. The first areas to see in any winter weather will be the southwest side. Dresky asking about what is the career path of becoming a meteorologist? No, not a good guesser. Years of school, a knowledge of the science, a knowledge of how to communicate the forecast. That's what a meteorologist, broadcast meteorologist does, is especially, we're tasked with getting the forecast right, but also explaining it in a way that makes enough sense to folks to get that latest information out there. Hey, just talking to the digital team, it does look like they've upgraded the winter storm watch to a winter storm warning for part of the area. Extreme southern counties, Troup County included, would be a winter weather advisory. And as I'm saying that, I can actually pull that map back up. Again, this should be in our system by now, but they just issued this a few moments ago, and here we go. I'm going to export a photo, guys. Again, talking with digital team, I'm going to export a photo, and we can get that in the web story as soon as possible. They have upgraded the winter storm watch to the vast majority of the area to a winter storm warning, and southern areas to a winter weather advisory. So I'm going to try, guys, to get this exported. And then if you just reach out to Jen and let her know that it's in the web export folder, you can just rip it from there. And it's called New Alerts. So again, for you, if you are just streaming here, we're continuing to get new information in as this stream evolves and as the forecast evolves and as forecast confidence increases. This is nothing unusual. We knew this was going to happen. Winter storm watch, inevitably, as you get closer to the event and as confidence increases in the conditions we will see, that watch becomes a warning. Now, the reason why Troup County, Meriwether County, Upson County, and those areas closer to Macon are under a winter weather advisory, we are expecting less of a travel impact, less of a life or routine impact in those far southern areas. The rest of the area is under a winter storm warning because of the risk of mixed wintry precipitation, that is rain at the very end, but before that, snow, sleet, freezing rain, transitioning to a very cold rain late in the afternoon hours. So they are concerned in the city of Atlanta that we will, of course, have rough travel. This begins as snow. This begins with temperatures below freezing. And as far as specific impacts for the area, snow and sleet accumulations up to 3 inches and ice accumulations up to 1/3 of 1 inch, a possibility. Of course, that 3 inches, mainly North Metro in the city, maybe closer to an inch or so, but we will have ice on top of that. So snow, sleet, freezing rain, we get all of it tomorrow, and none of those precipitation types are good for travel. Valley Girl on YouTube saying Gainesville. So Gainesville, winter storm warning, all of Hall County under a winter storm warning. I would say an average of 2 to 3 inches of snow up that way, but you will also have a glaze of ice, perhaps up to 1/3 of an inch of ice. That's freezing rain. Looks like rain, but it's deceiving. As soon as it makes contact with a tree or a power line, even surface streets in this case, it will freeze and become ice. So for Gainesville specifically, looking at possibly up to 3 inches of snow and up to about 1/3 of an inch of ice. For the city of Atlanta, even though we're under that winter storm warning, I would say maybe a little closer to 1 inch of snow. And then we're going to start to mix with sleet and freezing rain, and that's going to make travel much more difficult, hence the winter storm warning and the suggestion, the ask for everyone who does not absolutely need to be on the roadways to go ahead and stay home. Shirley Brooks is asking about Fayetteville. Fayetteville, you are under a winter storm warning, all of Fayette County winter storm warning. I would say less snow in Fayetteville, more of a risk of freezing rain and ice. That is a glaze of ice on objects. Joaquin, Green, Marietta, I would say 1 to 2 inches of snow, glaze of ice. Snow comes first and then the sleet and the freezing rain. Has the rain snow line moved further north from last night? Zim 35, just a little bit. In fact, we can walk you through this. Forecast model, so there is still some uncertainty here, and we could continue to see this forecast evolve. They have trended a degree or two warmer, and I know that seems like a very little change, and it is. But even little changes in this type of a setup can mean impacts to, expected impacts, changes, should say, to expected impacts. All right, so here we are. Everyone is going to wake up to a little bit of snow if you're out early in the morning. So Faith Talks asking about Habersham, Steve Timpson asking about Ackworth, Akash Patel asking about Kennesaw, and we have folks asking about Madison County, Oconee County, Jackson County. It looks like the feed is lighting up. So what I will say is, and I'm going to try to touch on these different counties, but keep in mind we have a map, and it has your county on there and it has your community on there. So there's always a delay in when you post the comment and when I see it, if I'm streaming on YouTube or watching the YouTube stream. But that map, that visual reference is a good idea to keep an eye on that as I continue to kind of give you more specific information. Tucker, Georgia, do you think you'll get 2 inches or more? I would say 2 inches or less, and you will have ice, freezing rain on top of that. So South Forsyth could see 2 inches of snow or not. Yes, you could see 2 inches of snow in southern Forsyth County up near Coving. That is a pretty solid bet before you transition over to some sleet and freezing rain. Kevin Jones, question regarding the Canton area. Our tip is not forecast to go above freezing tomorrow, but freezing rain is still in the forecast for tomorrow afternoon. What causes snow to change over? Good question, Kevin. That is because the temperature above the ground is above freezing. It can actually be colder in certain circumstances at the surface, Kevin, versus what's going on above your head. So the snow falls, it melts, it's liquid rain, and right at the surface, temperatures remain right around 31, 32, and it instantly refreezes as it encounters that lower, sometimes less than 100 feet of temperatures that are below freezing. Diego asking about how early it will hit Gainesville. I think you could have flurries as early as 7, 8 a.m. with more significant winter weather back in the Gainesville area as we get to mid-morning, maybe 8, 9, 10 o'clock in the morning. Again, here's a snapshot, 9 a.m. Peachtree Corners, I would say, 1 inch of snow is a safe bet, but we're going to have freezing rain and sleet on top of that. So this is certainly not going to be a beautiful snowman-making snow event for the city of Atlanta, but it is going to make for slick conditions and dangerous travel, even if it's not as pretty, as visual as a winter storm maybe in your imagination or in your mind may be. You're very welcome, Kevin. Thanks for streaming. Let's see. Spencer Sykes saying Blue Ridge, I'm hearing it's going to be one of the worst. I don't know what one of the worst means. You've certainly had worse winter storms than this one. But we're still looking at a solid 2 to 4 up in the mountains. Some of your peaks could get up to about 6. Kevin, up in Fannin County. Again, highest of elevations, but you guys are likely to remain almost all snow through the duration of this particular event. Steve Timpson asking about Ackworth, Cobb County. You're going to wake up to snow initially. I would say pretty solid bet, 2, maybe 3 inches of snow up in Cobb County, especially North Cobb going towards Bartow County, going towards Cherokee County. But you will also eventually switch over from snow to sleet and freezing rain. So that's going to kind of push down on the snow accumulation, and you're going to be dealing with some slick roads as well, accumulation of ice on trees and power lines. Allison and Ansley Bakes, how much snow will Rome, Georgia get? Pretty solid bet. You'll get 2 to 3 inches as an average. Some could see a little more than that. Rug Hobbs saying what has changed from yesterday. There haven't been any huge changes other than the fact that the temperature has warmed. The forecast temperature both at the surface where we are, where we're chatting, where we're talking, where we're streaming, but also a few thousand feet above our heads has trended a degree or 2 warmer, which would cut down on pure snow for the city of Atlanta and a little bit more sleet, a little bit more freezing rain, whereas our mountains, not much of a change up there, far, far north metro and our mountain communities likely to remain below freezing throughout the duration of this event, and that's why more snow is likely, far north metro, more so mountain communities. Spencer Sykes, thank you. My work is refusing to shut down, so my Mustang is going to have to travel on this around 7 a.m. Spencer, I'm surprised. I don't know what you do. Maybe you're an essential worker, but I am a little surprised that they are not letting you stay home, because we are going to have road issues tomorrow. Doesn't matter whether it is sleet, freezing rain, or snow, the roadways will be slick, and untreated roads with these hills, it's going to be pretty rough out there, especially the first half tomorrow, but probably not much improvement as we get into the afternoon. Georgia Bulldogs asking about Oconee County. So let's bring our clock back here. For Clark and Oconee counties, I would say this kind of gets going 8, 9, maybe 9:30 in the morning. Temperatures are initially below freezing in Athens, probably will start as some snow. But then eventually we will see, much like the city of Atlanta heading into the afternoon, we will see that transition to sleet and then freezing rain, and for some, just a plain old cold rain. It's possible even the south side of the city of Atlanta could switch to 33 degrees. I mean, very close to freezing rain, but technically a very cold rain as we get into Friday later afternoon and evening as this starts to wrap up. Not expecting much winter weather in the city of Savannah. Bill O'Kane. Maybe a few inland snow flurry sleet pellets in the inland coastal empire, I-95 corridor, Savannah, not expecting much at all. Damien, how much should we be expecting in the Beaufort area? Solid bed of 2 to 3 inches of snow, and then you're going to switch over to sleet, and you could even switch over to freezing rain as we get into the afternoon. Rahat asking about Doraville and Chambly. I would say solid bed at around an inch of snow, and then you're going to switch over to sleet and freezing rain, much like everyone else. Serg and McDonough, not as much of a risk of snow, maybe some very light snow, half inch or so, and then you're switching over to sleet and freezing rain. Nick, AM travel road conditions estimate around 10 a.m. from the Peachtree Corners to the airport. That is not going to be good. Roads will be icy, they will be slick. Not a good idea to plan on traveling to the airport. Now, you may work at the airport. A lot of flights, I imagine, are going to be delayed or canceled tomorrow. So I would check with your carrier. We have links to do so at atlantanewsfirst.com. Also, you can text weather to 470-777-WANF to get your full list of school and business closures. Also, guidance on how to travel safely. And as we're encouraging you to do tomorrow, not travel at all. What about Brazelton, Flowery Branch, Beaufort? I would say solid bet, 2 to 3 inches of snow, then sleet, then freezing rain. Slick stuff as we get into tomorrow evening. What about Cedartown? I would say solid bet again, 2 inches or so, maybe 1 to 2, and then you're going to switch over to sleet and freezing rain. Rabun County totals, you're looking at 3 to 6 inches up in Rabun County. Clayton, your neighbors to the north, Clay County, North Carolina, probably going to see the most snow. Higher elevations in those areas, 3 to 6 inches. Not too bad of a bet there. 6 inches maybe on the higher end, but within that range, a good idea. Raghav asking any chance it could get colder again or no. You know, there's always that chance. The fact that it only takes a degree or two of change to create big differences across North Georgia and Metro Atlanta in the forecast and unexpected impacts, that is why even minor changes, which we're still trying to resolve and fine-tune in the forecast, could lead to bigger changes in regards to what you see out your window, out your door tomorrow morning. So certainly it's possible, though we're continuing to kind of hone in on the fine details. You know, the I-20 corridor, we've always known this is going to be our trouble spot, whether it be sleet, snow, freezing rain, and determining when we switch over from which to which is going to greatly impact, you know, how white your lawn looks, for example, tomorrow afternoon. Will this be gone, melted by Sunday? I would say that mountains, far north metro, there probably will still be some slick roads. And I would say roadway conditions by Sunday afternoon will be improved, but probably still going to be some slick spots Sunday morning. But most of us will see some clearing by Sunday afternoon, with 2 afternoons at least a little bit above freezing. And then, of course, the sun is out both afternoons, and we will see some drying. But at least through Sunday morning, at least, there are going to be some issues. Denise asking about Atlanta downtown. I would say up to an inch, maybe 1.5 inches of snow. Safest bet, and then sleet, and then freezing rain. Do I think Oconee County will get at least 2 inches of snow? That's kind of 2 inches is kind of high. 1 to 2 is kind of a good bet. Georgia asking about Franklin County. Again, we have specific areas. You can see the map there on the right, to kind of give you an idea as to what's going on. As far as Franklin County, again, back towards deep East Georgia, I would say 2 to 3 inches of snow, a solid bed, and then you too might switch over to some sleet. Again, here's that hour-by-hour forecast, and notice that line here. Gonna draw this line. This particular forecast model, which I think is doing a decent job with the setup, has pure snow, still north metro, but starting to push out of the perimeter. This is at noon. All of this pink that you see is sleet and freezing rain, and this is just plain old, I'll put the R here, plain old cold rain, and this is pure snow with maybe just a few sleet pellets mixed in. So already by noon tomorrow, the city of Atlanta is switching over from snow back towards sleet and maybe even some freezing rain. And watch what happens as we go deeper into the afternoon. Now, keep in mind, the heaviest of whatever is falling will have already cleared by then, but it's giving you the idea temperatures will warm up a few degrees as we go through the duration of this event, and that is why the precipitation type will also be changing as we go through this event. So here we are, 3 p.m. Pure snow is really confined to extreme northeast Georgia and our far North Georgia mountain communities and Clay County, North Carolina. We have a mix in pink, Clark, Oconee counties, including the city of Atlanta. South Metro may have switched over to a cold rain by the time we get to the middle of tomorrow afternoon, and that will cut down on snow totals, and that is why you've seen some fluctuations. Nothing massive has changed, but some fluctuations in the forecast snowfall. Still just as dangerous to travel conditions, just as gross of a day, just as slick of a condition, but we're talking more about sleet and freezing rain in the city of Atlanta versus pure snow. The further north you go, the more snow you will see before that transition over to sleet and to freezing rain as we get into tomorrow afternoon. Corey Doyle will, Pickens County, get a few inches. I would say, yeah, 2 to 3 inches, pretty solid bet up in Pickens County. Will Henry County get any snow? Will only be freezing rain. I think right as this begins tomorrow morning, you'll get some snow and then sleet and then freezing rain and then maybe a cold rain. Whimsy, not sure if this info that you know, but are ambulances able to drive during sleet and freezing rain situations? They absolutely, most first responders will respond, but it may take them much, much longer to get to their destination, which is another reason, yet another reason to not go out on the roadways. Because if you find yourself in trouble, Whimsy, and you are in need of emergency services, it will maybe take them even longer to get to you because of the roadway condition, and also put their lives, first responders' lives, at risk, which is all the more reason to stay home. Let's see, Cameron Woodall saying sleet and freezing rain makes the northern snowed areas a real mess. Yeah, so Atlanta will see snow to begin with, and then sleet, and then freezing rain. And then, and I can go ahead and pull up this snowfall map here for you, just bear with me. This is a map we haven't shown, kind of wait until kind of the end of our stream here. And again, this is still subject to see some changes. For example, this brings 2 inches of snow back inside the perimeter, and the further south you go with this particular event, the more uncertainty there is going to be. So that the I-20 corridor portion of this snowfall map is more uncertain than areas to the north. Our mountain communities, far north metro, Pickens County, northern Cherokee County, northern Bartow County, Chattooga County, Floyd County, 2 to 3 inches, fairly safe bet. The further south you go, the more risk you will have to switch over to freezing rain and sleet even earlier, and that'll cut down on our snowfall totals. Fountain Dog saying good football on at least. Yeah, true. Hope nobody loses power. I also hope that. And I want to remind you that with freezing rain in the forecast, this is something we haven't touched on as much. With freezing rain in the forecast, there will be some ice accumulation on trees and power lines, and we could have a period of some gustier winds tomorrow. And the fact that this begins as a heavier, wetter snow, that's a lot of weight on trees and power lines. There certainly could be some isolated to scattered outages tomorrow. Would be a good idea to have that in the back of your head. Know that it is possible you could lose power